Hey guys, how are you? So this video is a review of lessons 47, 48, and 49, the extra practice that you had to complete. So if you'll notice that the answer key is up here for you. We're going to go through each lesson briefly. What I want you to do is, after we talk about each lesson, I want you to pause the video for each individual lesson and make sure that you have these answered correctly. You do have a grammar quiz over these 3 lessons, so I want to make sure that you're understanding where commas go and how you use direct and indirect quotations and how you use semicolons as well. So we'll talk about each one individually, pause them as we go so you can check off and make sure that you've answered these correctly. So for lesson 47, you had to add the missing comma to each sentence. Then you had to decide why the comma is needed. You're going to write I if it's needed after an introductory word, C if it's needed to separate a compound sentence, and then D if it's for a direct address. So just to briefly review, if you have an introductory word, that's also considered an interjection, and you're separating that from the rest of the sentence. If it's a compound sentence, you're using the comma to separate 2 independent clauses. And then if it's a noun of direct address, think about addressing somebody. So when you address a letter, you're putting somebody's name on it. When you use a direct address, you are addressing a particular person using their name. So let's go over just a couple of these and then I'll let you check off the rest on your own. So number 1, you put the comma after Dave, and you're writing a D in the blank. So Dave is a person's name. You are directly addressing Dave, so that's why you're putting D in the blank. Number 2, you're putting the comma after no, and that is an introductory word. So it's kind of like an interjection. No, and then there's a slight pause, and then the sentence finishes. Number 3, you're putting the comma after hence because this is a compound sentence. I'll give you some hints. You guess its name. Those are 2 independent clauses, so you need to separate them with a comma and a conjunction. So go ahead and pause the video here, check 4 through 10, and then after you finish that, go ahead and push play and we'll look at lesson 48. So lesson 48, you are adding a semicolon where it is needed in each sentence. Remember that semicolons can be used instead of a comma and a conjunction. You're separating independent clauses in a compound sentence. Biggest thing you need to remember with semicolons is that the 2 independent clauses you are separating need to be related. We talked about this when we reviewed the lesson together. So when you're considering using a semicolon, you got to make sure that those 2 pieces of information are related to each other. So again, we're going to go over the first 3 and then pause the video so you can check the rest. Number 1, you're putting the semicolon in between colors and they. So your 2 independent clauses in this sentence are soybeans come in many different colors. They can be red, green, yellow, or speckled. These 2 clauses are related because the first one is telling you that they come in many different colors. The second is actually telling you the specific colors that they can come in. Number 2, the semicolon is going in between grow and they. Number 3, the semicolon goes in between soil and they. When you're doing this on your quiz, and then when you're doing this on your test as well, you need to read the clause before the semicolon and then the clause after the semicolon to make sure that they're both independent. So that's where you might make a careless mistake, is placing the semicolon too early or too late in the clause and separating one of the independent clauses incorrectly. So you want to read each chunk by itself to make sure that it is a standalone sentence. Go ahead and pause the video here and check numbers 4 through 10. Lesson 49 is about direct and indirect quotations. So you're writing an I after each indirect quotation and a D after each direct quotation. Then you're adding quotation marks and other punctuation to the direct quotations. So remember, a direct quotation is the speaker's exact words. You are quoting them exactly with what they say. An indirect quotation retells a speaker's words. You're not using quotation marks when you have the words that or whether. So when you're looking for a direct quotation, you'll see said Charlotte or shouted Johnny. Those let you know how people say things. That is a direct quotation. Let's look at the first three together, and then I'll let you check the rest on your own. So number one, I'd like to have a garden, but I live in the city, said Arno. Your clue here that this is a direct quotation is that you have this word said. Said Arno lets us know that these are the speaker's exact words. So you're going to put a D in the blank because it is a direct quotation. Now, what did he say? That's what we need to put in quotation marks. I'd like to have a garden, but I live in the city. Those are the words that he spoke. So we're going to put that in quotations. Now we need to place the comma. The comma goes after the word city, but before your quotation mark. This is also a place where you might make a careless mistake. The comma always goes inside the quotation mark. The punctuation in general goes inside the quotation mark. So just remember that rule. Number two, Dinah said that plants will grow well in a sunny window. This is an indirect quotation, and your clue here is this word that. So our speaker is summarizing the words that Dinah said because this little word right here lets us know it's a summarization. Number three, Arno opened the cupboard and asked, can I grow peas, beans, and peppers? So here we have our little clue word. He asked this information. Can I grow peas, beans, and peppers? Those are the words that he spoke. So we're going to put that in quotation marks. The comma here is going after asked, but before the quotation mark. And the reason why it goes before the quotation mark is because it's separating the beginning part of the sentence with what was said. And then you put a D in the blank. Go ahead and pause the video here and check numbers 4 through 10. Don't forget about your quiz over lessons 47, 48, and 49. If you have any questions about any of this information, please feel free to send me an email, and I'll see you guys in class.